to the Bibles and Barbells podcast. It is just me, who is Brooks, and Mark today, because Isaac is having a math test today, and I get out of school early, and so does our producer, so we're just going to kind of hop into this as we go. So this week is the discipline of our minds, okay?
That's right. Every week we want to go into a different discipline. So last week we just talked about discipline. Today we're talking about the discipline of our minds. So as Christians, that's one of the biggest things we want to do is we want to make sure that we're disciplining our minds. So let's just start off here by thinking about all the ways that our minds are undisciplined. Because that's the basic average person, is an undisciplined mind. Now you just think about all the ways that we outsource our minds.
All right. TikTok. It is a great time waster.
It probably is. I've never been on TikTok.
I forget that you don't do these things. So, like, Instagram, there's like these short skits, okay? Yes. I'll explain it to you briefly. It's these short skits that are hilarious, and you just keep scrolling. And there's hundreds of thousands of them.
Right.
And so they can entertain you forever. Plus, they're super short, so it keeps your mind still keeps your attention, I guess.
So you don't even have to try to entertain yourself. There's like 100 different things that will just entertain you, and you put no thought into it.
Yes.
So your brain is basically not working.
I mean, it's still working to know that it's funny, but besides from that, no, it's not working at all.
Well, you think, okay, so all the things that you would otherwise use your brain for, you don't really need to use your brain to entertain yourself.
No. You
don't really need to remember things. Your phone will remember things. Google will answer all of your questions. Most people don't learn music. I mean, they appreciate music. I'm not saying they don't, but
they don't ever try to make it.
Nope.
I can see that.
We memorize almost nothing. So when I was a kid, you memorized people's phone numbers, but
now we don't memorize them anymore.
I don't know I don't hardly know. I maybe know 2 phone numbers, mine and my wife's. That's about it. But we're constantly distracted, and with all the technology and things that we have to do today, our brains are really being rewired.
More like fried.
Probably fried.
I was going to say, because some of these TV shows today, man, yeah, you do not want to let your kids watch them.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you, they're a little rough around the edges.
I guess it's everything. The question is that if our brains are being rewired, who's doing the wiring?
The government. Conspiracy theories.
It kind of does make you go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, honestly. If your brain can be rewired to think a certain way or act a certain way, well, it's like those stupid, they figure out like what gives you likes and things like that, what keeps you clicking. I mean, almost all of these apps are developed in order to keep you constantly coming back.
Give you an adrenaline rush.
Dopamine.
Yeah, or dopamine, my bad, whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
You're just like, yes, I got likes on my Instagram post. I'm so excited.
It's probably why most people make TikTok videos.
Yeah, but TikTok is randomized, so like instead of a certain amount of people seeing it, everyone can see it.
Oh. So
that's why it makes them have a bigger adrenaline rush, because anyone can see it on their FYP, which is For You page, okay? All right. But yeah, that's why everybody has one. It's because they're all like, yes, I must be famous.
Yeah. Well, so you think about phones, porns, drugs. I don't know. There's probably a lot of other things that are all working together to completely rewire our brains.
Oh, there's 100,000 things that are probably rewiring our brains, especially TV too.
I guess you could add the news. I don't know all you could add in there. But the question is whether or not it's a good thing. And I don't know. I would think that most of us would say it's a bad thing, but we don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, the fact that we don't know what to do about it, it's more like if we try to address it, we're nervous about addressing it because it's hard for us to fight it ourselves versus trying to help other people fight it as well.
Yeah, it's almost, boredom is almost like a condition that we just can't stand.
And silence is also a problem now.
Yeah. So, I think we're going to find that when we think about being a Christian and all of that God says about disciplining our minds, is we're maybe going to have a harder time with this than anybody ever, because of all of the technological distractions that we deal with.
That is true, but we did discipline ourselves for a pretty good while there about technology and trying to, I guess, limit ourselves to it.
Yeah.
So it won't be, I guess it shouldn't be that difficult to do it, but I mean, for normal people that have been on it forever and are like beyond addicted to it, it's going to be possible.
I don't even hear anybody talking about it. I mean, I hear people say, yeah, I spend too much time on my phone. But how many Christians do you hear talk about actually discipling their minds or disciplining their minds?
No one.
No one.
And when you say that you're doing it, they think you're weird.
Yes.
And it's almost like, man, why can't you do it yourself, but you think I'm weird by doing it?
Maybe it's the term. So you probably hear people talk about going to counseling. You hear people talking about anxiety and mental illness. Those are all related to discipling your mind. So if you have anxiety and mental illness, what you have is the inability to control your mind. Right?
Yes.
You have thoughts that you cannot get out of your mind. You cannot control your mind. Schizophrenia would be like a major one. But depression would be a form of mental illness.
Sometimes, yeah. I feel like, do you think there's more depression today than there has been in a pretty long time? Do you think it's more popular today to have?
Popular? I don't know if it... Maybe it's popular to be depressed, but I think that a lot of this rewiring our brains is causing us anxiety and depression. We have more anxiety and depression for less reason than probably anybody in history, and a lot of it has to do with the weakness of our own minds. So let's talk about what the Bible has to say about disciplining our minds. All right, well, let's start with Romans 12:2.
Oh, you want me to read it? All right, cool. Romans 12:2. All right.
We're going to read it in our Paul's Leather Company Bible.
Please sponsor us. That would be awesome. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewal of our mind, that by testing you may discern what is the will of God and what is good and acceptable and perfect.
All right, so you see in there the whole thing about renewing your mind. And the idea there is that is a continual process. This is a discipline. It's part of becoming Christ-like. It's part of being someone who pleases the Lord and having a life that goes according to His will, is that you've got to have a renewing of your mind. The idea is that you're going from having the mind of a sinner to having the mind of Christ. So that's a discipline. That's not the automatic result of being saved. In other words, when you become a Christian, you don't automatically have a new mind. You have the beginning of a new mind, meaning you're going to begin to think differently, but there's going to be a lot of residue from that old way of thinking that you're going to have to continually work on to change the way you think. And so that's a discipline. That's not something that automatically happens. It's not a spiritual gift. This is something that you have to make a conscious decision to work on. And unless you make that conscious decision to work on those things, it's not going to happen. I mean, it may happen by the fact that you talk to other Christians or you read your Bible or go to church or something like that. But it's going to be a slow process unless you actually work on it. So, a couple other things. Proverbs 23:7. For as he thinks within himself, so he is. Which is to say, you are what you think. Philippians 4:8. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, pure, lovely, commendable, if there is anything excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, think about these things. So not only is that telling us what to think about, but it's also assuming that you have the ability to control what you think. You have a choice about what you can think about, or at least you have the potential to choose what you think about, right?
Okay. So by you saying you think we have potential to choose what we think about, I'm assuming that everything that we do to like distract ourselves, do you think it influences us on a daily basis?
Mm-hmm.
So let me just ask you this. There's this whole big article, okay, about how video games now have caused kids to become more aggressive, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. I guess, yeah, I would say more aggressive, more, I don't know. Basically, in the years of since...
Do you mean violent?
Violent, thank you, yes, violent.
Okay.
Yeah, what's your take, and do you think this is true? Because I know you're older than us, so you've seen the world grow longer than we have. But they say these things, but it doesn't make sense, and it kind of makes sense at the same time. But parents are like, oh yes, that is completely the case. But me and our producer here, don't think so.
Okay.
So if it has been a change, please explain to me why.
I don't know. I don't know if it has made kids more violent. I'd probably say there's a lot of things that have contributed more than video games. I think that one of the things that video games has done has desensitized kids to certain things. If they play violent video games, then they don't think about what that violence actually is, because that person isn't real.
Okay.
Kind of dehumanizes somebody. I could see that, but I don't know if it has made kids more violent. Kids have been pretty violent for a long time, so...
Okay, bro. Whatever you say, man. But, yeah, sure, they've been violent for a long time, whatever. But it seems to be that since video games have came out, like, school shootings have been at a way, way higher rate than they have in the past, I don't know, multiple decades.
Right.
So that was one of the reasons of, like, trying to defend their idea of it does make kids more violent, so kids shouldn't be playing video games whatsoever.
Well, maybe video games is an easy one to pick on, and we'll talk about video games here in a bit, but a lot of that violence and some of the extreme things of school shootings, like you mentioned, a lot of those are a result of an undisciplined mind anyway. These kids are not able to process things. They're not able to deal with it.
I understand that what they're doing is like insanely stupid.
Well, and I feel for some of them. They were bullied or neglected, or maybe they had all the above, and they felt dehumanized, and so they just dehumanized everybody else. All of it would be forms of mental illness of some sort, but all of it is a combination of garbage in, garbage out. It's just when you fill your mind full of violent things, it's not surprising that you would say violent things or do violent things. Well, okay, let's talk about how to discipline your mind. So that kind of goes into what we were just saying. So there's basically two things that you got to do. One, you determine what you let into your mind, and two, you determine what you keep out. So there's a choice about what you're going to put into your mind, and there's a choice about what you're not going to put into your mind. So that's why I meant by garbage in, garbage out. And that's only partly true. So if you put garbage in, then garbage is going to come out.
Is there an old proverb that says something like that?
Yeah.
It's like whoever you hang out with the most is who you turn into, or something like that?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, there's several like that. Now Jesus says that, out of the heart come, and he talks about all of these different evils, because the evil's already in there. But when you just keep feeding it on other evils, it just causes it to grow. So we've talked about phones, but we could add to that a lot of other things. The shows we watch, the movies we watch, the amount of time we spend on YouTube or TikTok or any of those sites. Pornography.
That's a pretty bad one. There's a lot of people who are addicted to that now.
I would hate to know what the percentage of teenagers who are addicted to pornography is.
I would say it's probably pretty high.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty high.
And it doesn't help now that a lot of people now don't even know how to interact with either a male or a female at this point. It's
exactly.
It's almost like they're nervous too. And it's like, wow, that person's real. What do I do now?
Right.
Makes you look at them in more of a superficial way.
It does. The person on the screen is not a real person to you, even if they are a real person. but you don't know them. So all of it.
There's no emotional connection.
It makes you living in a virtual world that's not real. There's something really disconnected there, and all of these things do that. The shows we watch, we don't know those people.
It's true.
They're not real to us. The stories aren't real. The movies we watch, all of it. I guess we could say the first crime is just the amount of time that we waste doing that. We sit mindlessly for hours just watching shows. I can't remember what all the statistics are. I think the average adult watches about 5 hours of television a day.
Oh my goodness. You be playing with your kids or doing something, man. I don't know, taking them to the park. Instead of watching TV for 5 hours?
That's what the thing is, we talk about all of the bad things that you can be exposed to through your phone or through your computer or through TV. But really, the first crime is just the amount of time you wasted. That
is true. Like, you hear something crazy? So, when I was in my blackout this last month, okay? I was in my blackout this whole month, and I felt like way more happy at the fact that I had no idea what was going on in the world, because it makes you feel, like, free. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, wow, there's a war happening? Yeah. Really? I had no idea. You don't feel nerve-wracked at all, because you have no idea it's happening.
Right.
So, like, one of the examples was, I got on to YouTube my first day that I had my phone back, right? Or had my whole deal back. And I got on YouTube. First video I see is this lady get hit by a car. I'm not even joking. Like, real lady got hit by a car because I guess this guy had ran into her and she was, like, taking a video of it. And the dude just, like, ran her over.
Yeah.
She's in, like, critical condition. And I was, like, immediately as soon as I watched that video, I was like, wow, the world's an awful place. And everything that I had worked towards was gone.
It does. You watch enough of those videos, and you start to laugh at the fact that that woman got hit by a car.
Oh, I don't know if I do that, but you have to be a terrible person.
There's a show advertised on Peacock where it's something like so stupid it's criminal or something like that. Snoop Dogg and a bunch of his friends watch videos of criminals like doing stupid things, and a lot of them get hurt, like seriously hurt, and then they just bust up laughing. It's like, yeah, I realize they were committing a crime, but that's a human being who just, like had that thing bludgeoned on his head. I can remember being in college, and a couple of guys came into my room. They had a video that they were going to watch. It was called something about Faces of Death or something like that. It was people being killed caught on camera. And it was like,
what?
Why would we watch this? Why would this be entertaining? But they had lived so much in front of a TV watching these things. They didn't think of it that way. It's like, how do we make death, murder, and violent pain into entertainment? That's just disgusting. So I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch horror movies.
I wouldn't either.
I don't see why anybody would. I don't understand why a Christian would ever watch a horror movie or a thriller. Why do you want to be entertained with the idea of someone being dismembered, killed, hunted? It's not an entertaining thing. If life is meaningful, if life is precious, you don't want to desensitize yourself to death.
Oh my bad, I was gonna say this is random. Did you ever watch like, have you ever seen a person like die?
I've seen people actually die.
Well, there's a difference. Well, I'm saying like someone dying in a hospital versus someone getting shot and killed.
I don't know that a lot of people have ever seen someone die, and I don't think that people have a real appreciation for the fact that
not in real life.
That you're going to die one day. Life is real.
Oh yeah, life is real. I will say one thing. There's been like, people are so desensitized now. They'll make memes of people literally getting their head shot off.
Right. Yeah. It's
unbelievable.
This is what happens when you allow your mind to become rewired by other things. No, that comes through the phones, the movies. For one thing, a lot of these YouTube videos and TikTok videos, the second crime is They're just videos that are so stupid, made by stupid people, that make you think stupid things.
Yeah, that is very true.
Just the first crime is the amount of time that's wasted. The second crime is how stupid it is making you. It's just
okay, but it is fun and entertaining to see like a dude jump his Ford Ranger over like 5 different cars.
Yeah, I've watched America's Funniest Home Videos. It's a nice little release to watch people, be human and it be funny. But I don't know that that's what I'm really referring to. I think a lot of these videos are intentionally stupid.
Oh yeah,
that make people stupid.
Yeah, but they're a blast.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, man. They're a blast. I got on TikTok 2 days ago because I finally realized that I can have it back. I was on it for maybe 15 minutes and I just couldn't breathe. Some of the stuff that's on there is just so funny. I haven't seen it in so long. It's basically all inappropriate, but I mean, at this rate, what isn't?
Talking about inappropriate brings us to the third thing then. This garbage in, garbage out. The effect of it is just disastrous upon, especially a developing mind. We talked about porn. Porn is just villainous. It dehumanizes the girl because that's not a real girl to you, and also it turns you into, lack of better words, it turns you into a cuckold. You didn't win that girl. Somebody else did. And you're just a voyeur, so it turns you into the.
There's no game to play.
You
can't win anything.
It makes you into a male loser.
You're not a leader anymore.
You no longer have the inability to even woo a girl, win a girl. There's no
sense of pride.
You're weak. All right. It turns you into the worst sort of person. And a lot of this comes out in what you daydream about. So when you don't have any distractions and what you daydream about, the more garbage you put into your mind, the more it's just going to sit there and float as you have nothing else to think about. So what do you daydream about? That will tell you how disciplined your mind is. And we talked a little bit about screen time because you went on the blackout, which was awesome.
It's really difficult. If you want to do it, you're welcome to do it. We probably won't be doing it with you because we have a new challenge every week if you tune in. Just saying, but yeah, I went through it and it was very freeing. I went through it with 3 friends. It was me, Ian, Trenton. I guess it was only 2 friends, me included, but. We all went through it, and they all became majorly more productive. On our first day, Ian cleaned his whole car and his bedroom. Spotless. He found $200 in his pair of pants.
Jeez.
Yeah, I know. It's just some of the things you just have no idea about. He's like, why would I have this laying around? So, yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. If you went on it, you'd be like, wow, this is crazy. But you're technically already always on it because you're never really on your phone.
I still am on it way more than I want to be. It's always in my pocket. It drives me crazy.
You can always do something like way harder and just get rid of it completely. But people always say, well,
I can.
They say, well, I gotta know when my wife texts me because something could be happening. Like, what's the chances of that? They're lower than what you think.
I don't know. I would think it would be probably a valuable thing if you keep your screen time to under an hour a day.
I say 45 minutes.
All right.
You're going to be on it like this and put it back in your pocket.
Yeah. Don't want it to add up.
I know. So,
to prepare for our discussion today, we are in the process of fasting from sweets. I have not done as good of a job fasting from sweets as I did with the cold showers.
I won't lie, neither have I. I've also been sick, and if you guys can't hear that in my voice right now, I've been sick for a week, so let me tell you, some soda, when you've got a lot of gunk in your throat, let me tell you, it really does go away. The sweets is really, really hard. I'm not going to lie, it's pretty hard.
I had none Thursday, had none Friday. Valerie decided to make cookies on Saturday.
And you were like,
I ate about 6 of them.
Oh, Mark. I didn't even do that bad. You serious?
Yeah.
You ate 6 cookies? You couldn't just be like, you know what? I'll have 1 cookie from the cookie jar. No, you ate 6.
No, it was like I hadn't had them in like 3 days, and I was just like gorging myself on these cookies.
Okay, well, at least you got to tell me what kind they were.
I have chocolate chip with little caramel balls that she puts in
there.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay,
I know.
I
it's like putting crack in front of an addict. It's too much.
It's like, don't touch the crack. You can't do that.
I talked to a guy 2 days ago who told me that he fasted for 24 days. Did not eat. His goal was to fast for all of Lent, so 40 days. He told me that he made it 24 days, did not eat anything. He would drink coffee or tea, which have no calories, and water, but he did not eat anything for 24 days. And he said after 24 days, he said that I guess your body goes into ketosis, which...
It eats your muscles.
No, it's not eating your muscle so much as it begins to produce its own insulin. And so you begin living off of basically stored body fat. And he said when his body went into ketosis, he had a real sweet taste in his mouth. And it started to drive him crazy. And so he started eating an olive or two for the next 11 days. But for 35 days... For 24, he ate nothing. And then for the next 11 days, he would have just like maybe 2 olives or just a small something each day.
Okay. I understand that people fast. I see that all the time. People are like, yes, I must survive off of the word for 40 days or whatever. That's totally fine. You do you. But starving yourself to make God happy doesn't seem reasonable to me.
He did it because he was overweight.
Okay, well...
And he wanted to lose the weight. And he did it because he basically wanted to master self-control over his... He was a foodie. You know so I looked it up. The world record...
For not eating
is 385 days by a guy in Scotland. He started out 400 and some pounds. He ended up dropping... I can't remember how much weight. He ended up at 180 pounds. It took him 385 days.
To get to 180
That's over a year. That's over a year he did not eat. He had vitamins. He drank stuff, basically the equivalent of Gatorade. And he would go and be checked by doctors regularly to make sure he was okay. But...
So he survived with no food.
No food. 385 days.
Money says when he got back to eating, his body wouldn't accept what he ate.
I'm sure he started out pretty small.
Man, that is unbelievable. Like, I just can't do that. Like, your body, God created food for us to eat. If we don't eat it, then we're going to die.
It's true. So, we'll talk about fasting in one of these other weeks, but the idea of fasting is that if you can control what goes into your body, you can control what goes into your mind. And that's how hard it is. So if you think about how hard it is to do fasting, physical fasting.
Oh.
Okay, but if you can do that, you can also control what goes into your mind. The idea is control. The thing that we don't want as Christians is for someone else to be in control. We don't want someone else to be in control of our mind. Your mind is a precious thing. So Jesus says, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. So in order to do that, you're going to have a measure of control over your mind. And that means you have to be able to control what you let into your mind. So there are certain things that you're just going to have to keep out. And so we could start with the ones that are obviously dangerous.
Yeah.
So we can start with the one that's most obviously dangerous would be pornography. But we could take out all R-rated movies.
I don't even watch movies, but yeah. I would say TikTok first.
You could take out TikTok, Instagram. I've never even been on Instagram.
Honestly, all Instagram is women selling themselves to each other to see whoever's better, and guys being like, dang, bro, she's hot.
Yeah, well...
I'm not even joking. That's pretty much it. Like, if you asked, when Isaac comes in, okay, I'd write this down. When Isaac comes in here for our second session, I'll be gone, but Isaac will be here. Wait, I don't even know if he has an Instagram. He might not have an Instagram, so he has no idea. Andy, do you have an Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay, so our producer Andy has an Instagram. What's your take?
Yeah, you're basically right.
Okay. All right. Cool. If you couldn't hear him, he said, "Yeah, basically, I'm correct." So, there you go, Mark. That's all it is.
Well, I'm just saying, so like R. Kent Hughes in his book Disciplines of a Godly Man, which is a little bit dated, but his advice is stop watching television altogether. And I mean, like you say, you don't watch that much television, but it's because we get all of that from other things now. We get it from our computer. We get it from, if you just stopped watching things altogether on devices or television or whatever, I mean, just think about what a difference that would make in your life. I mean, would it really kill you not to have any exposure to any of it?
No, it actually makes you better. But the first week or so, people are like, "Oh no, I can't do it. It's impossible."
Right.
But what's ironic is the longer you do it, the easier it becomes. I've learned that.
I think you got to have a goal in your head. So if you're really going, if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, most people are going to think of these things as just being absolutely insane or just stupid. Why would you do that? And the reason is because we want to be obedient servants of Christ. We want to become Christ-like.
It's that easy.
If Jesus says, if your right hand causes you to sin, cut
Chop
it off,
man.
So if the technology, if the phones, if the TV, if the shows you're watching or the things you're being exposed to, if they're causing you to sin, you really have no excuse
to keep them.
So Psalm 101:3 says, "I will not set before my eyes anything that is worthless." So if these things are not producing some fruit of godliness, then I don't know how you can really add to them to be anything of worth.
Can't.
Right.
So, I mean, it bothers me when people are like, "I can't do it. It's impossible." And when I send this video or this podcast to someone, and they're like, is it stupid?" No, it's not dumb. It's not dumb at all. This completely makes sense. But for people that are just not disciplined enough, this is stupid, in their words.
Yeah. I think that one of the things about being disciplined is you just got to almost adopt a motto: no excuses. Just quit making up excuses. There's always going to be 1,000 excuses not to do the thing that you know you need to do.
I had one this week. So Alex and Nathan, right?
Yeah.
They were going to do this with me, do the sweets thing with me.
Oh.
And their excuses were, "It's my birthday coming up this month. It's my birthday coming up this month. I don't want to do it this month because I have a birthday this month." I'm like, there's always going to be something every month. It doesn't matter what you do. You might as well just start whenever you decide to start because something is going to get in the way. It doesn't matter what it is. Oh, and there was prom too. There was prom this weekend.
Right.
Sorry for not showing up to church. I was tired.
It's all right.
All right.
Probably just the best sermon I ever preached.
Are you serious?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, that's like when you miss a day of school. They're like, "Yeah, bro. Well, the teachers let us have a pizza party, and the principal was, I don't know, was ramping the buses over everything."
All right. Well, that's going to bring us to our first break, and we'll be back after these messages.
Just because you're a man doesn't mean you couldn't use a tan. No one wants to see you with your shirt off at the pool with that pasty white skin. Go see our friends at SI Tan, located in Carbondale, Marion, and Heron. They'll have you looking good enough that people won't look at you and say, "That's nasty." SI Tan.
All right, we're back. We're talking about becoming mentally disciplined. And so let's talk about how we can do that. So Philippians 4:8 tells us to think about these things. And that word there, to think, is to concentrate. So this is deliberate. And it doesn't just mean to have positive thoughts. I know that everybody likes to think that Christianity is just having positive thoughts and not having negative thoughts. It means to focus, to actually practice on these things that it says there about what the things that are true, honorable, pure, lovely, commendable, and excellent. So we want to put these things into actual practice. So the first thing then, how we can become disciplined mentally, is through feeding it with the right thing. So scripture reading. So I always talk to guys. I talk to them about reading. I always get a very similar response. I hate to read.
Everyone hates to read because it's using your brain at this rate.
Everybody hates to read. Guys especially hate to read. Most books are read by women. I can't remember what the percentage is.
It's way higher than us.
It's way higher than guys. That it's kind of a cycle in which because they know more women read books, publishers will publish towards women because it's more likely to sell. So as a result, less and less guys even get into it. Here's the thing. God gave you a book.
Read it.
He gave you a book. He didn't give you a video. He doesn't come in the form of a YouTube video or a podcast. He gave you a book. And there's a reason for that. When you read, your brain takes in that information very differently than when you watch a video or even when you're looking at a screen. When you are looking at an actual paper and ink Bible and reading it, your body takes that information in differently than if you're reading the exact same words on a phone. Did you know that?
I did know that.
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
it will actually make a bigger difference in your mind if you have a actual physical Bible in your hands, preferably one that is made by Paul's Leather Company.
Yeah, I will say that
the finest
pretty awesome.
Bible makers in America. So
we gotta send this to them. They're not made in America. Oh wait, I guess they are made in America.
yeah, Massachusetts.
Ooh.
Yep. So if you're looking for a very good, high quality Bible, Paul's Leather Company.
Yeah, for real, they are pretty good.
So you can get on any kind of a Bible reading plan that you want, but if you will commit enough time during the day to reading your Bible, you'll get through it every year.
I say just pick a book. Start in one of the books of the Bible. Just pick a book and read it. And then when you read it, as you read it, write down what you like. That's what I do.
Is that what you do?
That's what I do. I went all through all the Romans, and if there was one that spoke to me and was like, this really speaks to you because you can use this in your life, I write it down in a notebook, and I highlight the parts that I need to break down to make it work for me.
I was reading 3 chapters a day, 7 days a week. It didn't take long, and I was feeling pretty good about myself until I listened to a sermon by a guy named David Miller, who was talking about how much you need to be reading your Bible, and it made me feel really, really guilty. So,
how much did he say?
I don't remember what he's saying. He said if you read, what did he say?
Anything less than
16 chapters a day or something like that, you'll get through the Bible in 3 months, I think he said. But 16 chapters a day.
You can't. The only way you're reading that is if you can read at such a fast pace, it's ridiculous.
So
or you're skimming it.
I started waking up earlier. So I wake up now at 5:15, and I probably need to get up about 5 o'clock. And I read for 30 minutes every morning. So I can get through about 8 or 9 chapters.
I don't think I'm going to do that with you.
So I was looking at a different book today, and it was talking about, this book wasn't even spiritual. It was actually talking about self-discipline in your career. And it said that you should wake up 2 hours before the first thing you have that day. So if your work or your school starts at 8 o'clock, you should be getting up at least 6 o'clock in the morning. And then it said spend an hour of that time reading for self-improvement. Now, the thing is that reading an hour straight right there first thing in the morning, that's really not going to work for me. But 30 minutes, if you read the Bible for 30 minutes every morning, eventually that's going to have a big impact on your day, upon your life.
I would say so. Just the only problem is, when people first wake up, they're like, ugh, most of the time. So they're not even awake.
Probably a good time for a cold shower.
You just plugged it in. There we go. Yes, probably got a good time for a cold shower. I will say that will give you a adrenaline rush.
What we need to do is we need to schedule out the perfect morning. Like, you wake up at this time. What's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do? So that you make sure you get everything in.
Okay, all right. How's this? You know what? Well, are we going to do it right now?
No, well, we don't have to, but we could throw the ideas out there.
Okay, all right. Next week I'll write this down for next week as well.
The perfect morning routine.
All right, the perfect morning routine.
All right. If you're listening to us, email us your perfect morning routine. Bible and Barbells podcast@gmail.com.
All right. So I got to write that down because I know for fact we will forget.
Part of disciplining your mind is you've got to feed it with the right thing. And the best thing to feed it with is Scripture. Now, there are other books that you can read, and we'll talk about those, but that are good, but they should not take place of actually reading the Bible. The Bible is God's Word. It is the guide of your life. So
it's the best guide of your life.
Yeah. And so I'll just put it this way. You cannot grow if you do not read.
I will say so, yeah.
And if you will not read, if you just say, I don't like to read, and so you just refuse to read your Bible, you're in disobedience.
You're just going to sink.
You're just in disobedience to God.
You're going to be stupid.
I mean, unless you can't read, there's really no excuse. So that's the first thing, reading your Bible. The second thing is actually memorization. So we're
memorizing?
Yeah, memorizing.
Oh man, I'm terrible with that.
I know. Everybody thinks they are.
You know what's funny? I just said the thing that we're not supposed to say.
I know, making excuses.
No, it's not even an excuse. It's more like, yeah, I know I'm bad at that. It's not that I can't do it. It's that, man, it's going to suck to do it.
Yeah. Nobody likes to memorize. Everybody says, I'm not good at it. The reason is because it takes so much energy and focus. There is an incredible value, however, to memorization. Memorization is making your mind do what you want it to do.
That is cool. People that can memorize stuff like that, like if they can memorize a book of the Bible, then that is unbelievable to me.
So the guy I quoted earlier, David Miller, he's a quadriplegic. So
what?
Yeah, he can only move a little his fingers on one hand, and so he sits in a wheelchair and he can control the joystick that makes him go, but otherwise, he cannot hold a Bible. He cannot stand up.
How does he read?
He memorizes everything he preaches. He memorizes the entire text that he's going to preach. And he will sit there and look at you while you hold your Bible, and he will read it word for word.
Does he know the whole Bible by head?
Probably. I guarantee he has the entire New Testament memorized. And the guy who mentored me, I think at one time had most of the New Testament memorized. The entire New Testament, almost all of it memorized.
They sound like monks.
It sounds insane, except that they actually did it. And
did your mentor, what was his name, Jim? Jim, yeah, did Jim fully, did he show off a little bit?
He had me memorize a couple of the chapters in 1 Timothy when I was about your age. And
I'm a little behind on the count, boys. My bad.
I was surprised at how, if you just put the work into it, it wasn't as hard as you thought. But the real value of memorization is that when you need it, it just comes out of your mouth.
Really?
Oh yeah. When you memorize it, it's just there, and it's good. All right, third thing, reading good books. So here's the thing: if you could read the accumulated knowledge of the wisest people in history versus watching YouTube videos of idiots doing idiotic stuff, which one do you think would be more pleasing to the God who gave you a brain?
It's kind of the question that everyone's going to be like, well, we know the answer to this, but we don't want to say it.
Yeah. No, all of these things are just like self-explanatory. It's just about self-discipline. It's not that you don't know what you need to do. It's that you don't have the will to do it.
You know what's probably went down in the past few years? People being able to speak in front of people. You know what I'm saying?
Probably.
It's public speaking. I guarantee there's not a lot of people that are good at it anymore.
Or just having conversations.
Oh yeah, that's went down. That's went down a long time ago. That isn't even a thing anymore.
So the fourth one I have then is just basically fasting from all mental input. So you think about during your day, I'm just going to take the average person. They are constantly just having things put into their head, but they never stop to process it. So if the first thing you do in the morning is you get on your phone and you're looking at your phone and you're looking at your phone or TV until while you're getting ready to the moment you leave the house, and then while you're driving, you're listening to something. Then you go to school or work, and you're always taking things in. Somebody's talking to you, you're reading something, you're doing something. You get home, you keep doing it. Then you sit down at night, you watch TV, you look at your phone, you watch your computer screen, or read a book or whatever. You're just constantly, it's mental input nonstop. And then you finally go to bed and you wonder why you can't go to sleep. And it's because you're like
brain doesn't have a shut off.
Your brain has never had time to process. You're overstimulated mentally. So one of the things for mental discipline is just taking a break from all of it. Take a walk, go sit outside on the porch, do anything as long as there's not a gadget talking to you.
Basically just take a chill pill, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, you ever seen that David Goggins on YouTube? He's like fitness guy, former military.
I'm sorry, this sounds like something I probably don't watch. You gotta remember, I'm a teenager. I watch dumb stuff like
he's
the rest.
popular on there. He has a whole thing that if you're listening to music while you're working out, you're doing it wrong.
Really?
Yeah, he advocates for having no mental stimulation while you're working out, and it's all about mental discipline as well.
Well, all right. Well, fair enough. It's hard for me to work out without music. Reason being is if I'm sitting there silently, then it's like hard for me to focus for some odd reason. I actually focus better with music.
Yeah, I agree, but that's probably because we're so mentally weak.
I guess. Maybe that is the case. Well, that's pretty dope, man.
All right. Well, that's disciplining our minds. So
we gotta tell them what we're doing.
Give us your feedback. Email us, BibleandBarbellsPodcast@gmail.com. Next week, we're talking about discipline, controlling our tongues.
Okay, so do you want to explain how this works? Do you want me to explain
for our challenge for the next week? No, you go ahead and do it.
Okay, so basically, you can't speak unless spoken to, and you can't speak unless you just absolutely have to. So you are silent, not a mutter of a word, until someone is talking to you, or you have to, order food at a restaurant. That is literally it.
We're going to control our tongues.
Yep.
Is what we're going to do.
Should we allow texting in phone calls in the same, or just no texting? Because you can text someone.
I don't know. We may have to do some texting. We will do our best to limit our texting. All
right, that's fair. That's fair. Right. If you guys want to limit your texting with us, that's probably a good idea, or this could basically be cheating because everyone's got a phone.
Some people are going to have no problem with this. A lot of people just aren't big talkers.
We're going to struggle.
You and me are going to die.
My mom and dad are going to be like, what's wrong with you?
What's wrong with you? So one of the smartest guys I knew, he passed away a couple years ago. He had this habit, so he was real careful with what he said. He's an older guy. And if you asked him something or said something to him, he would pause before everything he said.
I've noticed that you do that on phone calls, and it's the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah, it was like, it kind of made me nervous talking to him.
Because you're like, what if I say something weird?
Well, you know how you just talk and then the other person just immediately starts talking? But if the person pauses, it's kind of like they're stopping to think about what you just said, and they're listening more intently, and so it makes you nervous.
Yes, it does make you way more nervous.
So that's our goal this week, is we're going to be very careful with what we say, so that we limit our words. We're going to not talk
unless spoken to,
unless necessary.
Yes, necessary.
Unless necessary, and we're going to pause before we say something, and we're going to think about what we say.
This is going to be hard. You have church this Sunday. You're going to have to do it then too.
Well, I can preach, but
after that you have to be shake hands, no words, man.
Well, I'll shake hands, and I'll just be very careful with what I say. Yeah, I think you can still be friendly without being quietly awkward.
Yeah, don't be awkward. The pastor is not allowed to be awkward. Yeah. You got to be vibrant, right?
That's right.
All right, well, should we wrap it up?
That's it. That's it for this week.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning into the Bibles of Barbells podcast. We hope to see you next week. Every week we post on Fridays, so next Friday we will also have video up to you. So have a nice day.